You're not. Oh.
Hey, NorCal Carters, it is August 22nd, and it's Monday, NorCal Mondays, and it is NorCal Carters. Tonight, we have CCKRA, and so we have three drivers. We have Scott Andreessen here, so it's going to be CCKRA, and my producer's killing me in the background for some reason. So I'm like looking around, it's like, what's in my background? But so this past weekend, both Ashley and I, we were up at Rock Sonoma for Rock Fest West. They gave out like $35,000 in prizes. So they gave out full entries to Rock Vegas. They gave out $2,500 cash to race winners in certain classes. Tires, they gave out entry fees. We live streamed it on YouTube. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. A lot of great racing action. So you can go back to YouTube. It's not on NorCal Carters. It's on Rock Sonoma. So you can go on YouTube, Rock Sonoma, and you can check a replay of the live action. But this week, we had some new products hit the floor. So I have my little model here. And we have new apparel. So we have NorCal Carters tees, and we have long sleeve shirts. So these are thin, lightweight, long sleeve. They will be on our shopping cart. We have the long gray sleeves. We have the camo shirts. These are new. These were pretty popular this weekend. Then we have a couple more. The standard gray one. Standard gray tee. And then we have white shirts for a special project, which we're not announcing yet. But we have white shirts, primarily in kid sizes. So that's going to be fun. So we have shirts. So thank you, Lillian. And there's really no easy way to say this. So if I was in a position financially to give everybody a shirt for free, I would just give them out to everybody. But financially, NorCal Carters can't do that yet. So if you've ever asked yourself, why isn't NorCal Carter covering this race? Why doesn't NorCal Carters have more cameras at the track? Why? It's all about money. So the shirts, all the profits go right back to NorCal Carters to raise funds to do other projects in the future. Ashley and I, we have notebooks full of stuff we want to do, more race coverage we want to do. But at the end of the day, it comes down to, the gas bill. Both Ashley and I have full-time jobs. So things like t-shirts, the funds go into our checking account to help do other activities. So while I'm saying that, I'm going to do a quick thank you. So in 2022, we have some calendar sponsors for NorCal Carters. That's Rock Sonoma, Prairie City Karting, the NCK Road Racing Bunch, and Challenge Karting, which is Challenge of the Americas and the California Rock Cup. And the local shop we have supporting us this year is Luminos. So that's the local shop that's supporting us this year. We have room for more shops. Private companies, Gorilla Barbecue, they sent us a check. So if you wonder why I have Gorilla Barbecue stuff on, or in a couple of weeks I'm going to have Gorilla Barbecue spices in the background, they sent us a check. They're really tied in with the Track Magic Owners Group, and they really push that grassroots effort, and they support national drivers. So if I talk about Track Magic a lot on NorCal Carters, thank Gorilla Barbecue for that, because they help. And then also the Cameron family. every time I do fundraisers, they're the first ones to jump in and support the cause. And yeah, and last but not least, the race coverage and announcing. Again, Rock Sonoma. So they pay us to go out to the track. They're paying us to work there. So they may and they will get more attention than the tracks that don't pay us. So with that being said, Ashley, take it away.
Hey NorCal, what's up? I'm wearing the new camo NorCal Carter's t-shirt, and we're gonna come up with a hashtag for it too. So far we like NorCal Army, but we are noticing that the camo is actually really popular, and we hear you, so we're going to be getting some more hopefully soon. But yeah, go buy a t-shirt. This one's my favorite one so far, and it's comfy.
100% ring spun cotton.
Yes. Okay, so tonight we are going to do a CCKRA promo. Why are we doing a CCKRA promo? Well, they have their Central Valley Championships coming up, and it is on a temporary parking lot track. Okay, so for all of my friends that are going to the Vegas races at the end of the year, those Rock Vegas, Supernats, this is the track that you want to come practice at. If you've never done barriers, if you kind of want to get that barrier mentality, this is where you're going to be. I'm going to be there. Gonna get, gonna have the family out there, hopefully. So yeah, this is where we're going to be at September. It's in September. I'm so sorry. I'm drawing a blank because of the Rock Sonoma date that we just talked about. But my good friend Scott Andresen from CCKRA is here, and he's gonna help me remember the date. Sorry, friends. Here we go. Scott is here with some of our CCKRA drivers.
Yeah, so it's the 3rd and the 4th. So
The 3rd and the 4th.
Labor Day weekend. Control practice on Saturday. So if anyone wants to come out just for practice, they can totally do that. But it's good to come for both days because you get that whole dynamic of a fresh track that has no rubber on it in the morning on Saturday, and it tends to grip up pretty good by midday Sunday. That surface is pretty good at holding rubber, so definitely have to chase the setup a little bit to get everything dialed in. But yeah, it's been a good season. So it's race 7. It's our last points race of the year. We've had a pretty big. The club's grown quite a bit, so I think we've been averaging. We started off like 60 carts, and I think our last race at Santa Maria was 95-ish. So it was a pretty good sized turnout. So hopefully we kind of continue that momentum into the last race. But yeah, it should be fun. It's the same layout we're running in May. So if anyone's ever been to Fresno the previous years, we ran what's like called the Grand National track. This is kind of a slight variation on that, and we had some really good feedback from the drivers. They really liked it a lot. We did a lot of asphalt work, so it's a temporary track. It's still bumpy, but we fixed most of the the ruts and the chunking back in May, so it should be a pretty good race. It should be fun.
And what's those dates again?
September 3rd and 4th. So
September
Labor Day
3rd and 4th.
Yeah,
and all the information can be found at
CCKRA.com or on Facebook, Central California Kart Racing Association. And you can check out the race registrations live on Motorsports Reg as well. If you're curious about fees and stuff.
Perfect. Right. Let's see. So next up, we're going to have Logan Chambers. You ready?
Yeah.
Well, you have to be because you're up there. So introduce yourself, your home track, the class that you run, and any sponsors or anyone you would like to thank.
My name is Logan. My home track's Buttonwillow, and the class I race is Junior 2. And my sponsors are PKS, Glenn and Christina, Motor City GMC, Agnow, Cali Strong Clothing Company, and Central Valley Pipeline and Excavation.
Very cool. All right, so we're going to have you come back up here in a moment. And next up, we're going to have Bryson McCormick. Bryson, how are you? Let's see here. You have to unmute your mic.
Oh, sorry.
There you go. You're doing good?
Yes.
All right, so introduce yourself, your home track, and the class that you run, and any sponsors you'd like to thank.
So my name's Bryson McCormick. Probably my nearest home track would probably be Fresno Fairgrounds, and my sponsors is my mom, dad, BG, Trackside Engines, Nevada Kart Sport, and VLR.
Very cool. All right, and last but not least, Jackson Menchu. Same thing. Home track, class that you run, any sponsors you'd like to thank?
Well, I want to first say I appreciate you guys for letting me come on the show. It's a pleasure to be here, and I love watching the live streams every week. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jackson Menchu. I'm from Fresno, California. So home tracks are the Fresno Fairgrounds and Buttonwillow Raceway. I currently race in two-cycle K100 and Senior 206 with Greg Bell, Leading Edge Motorsports, and I would love to thank Greg and Christina Racky for all the help they've given me, and obviously my parents and people like you guys for putting up these types of shows and spreading awareness about a club.
Anytime you want to thank me, I'll give you more airtime. Well, thank you, everyone. All right, we'll bring everybody up. Let's see here. There we go. All right, Ashley, take it away. What do you want to get into?
All right, guys. So, Central Valley Championships. Does anybody know why it's called that? Bryson.
So the reason why it's called Central Valley Championships is because the name is CCKRA.
All right. That's a good answer. Definitely. Scott, do you happen to know any history behind the Central Valley Championship?
I'm guessing. I'm pretty sure it was already going on before I got back into karting. But back when we still had a separate Kerman Kart Club and Atwater Kart Club, the two clubs have some crossover races, and that's kind of, I think, where it sort of started out. So I can remember a couple back in the mid 2000s that I raced at. So I think that's where it came from, but I'm pretty sure it started from before I got back into it. So
Yeah. So that's what, and I was trying to think back today too, because I was wondering if this was going to come up, and I was hoping Brian was going to be here. But that's what I remembered. I'm pretty sure it was between Atwater and Kerman, right? And I do know you get a flag at the end of the race.
now you do, yeah.
So David has flags, and I remember kind of watching the progression between like the older flags to the newer flags. Oh yes, Jackson, I know what's coming next. And so now I'm like, oh, I just love seeing like the progression and how it's kind of kept the tradition alive, but at the same time, like we keep it cool. So yeah.
It used to be a jacket too. So it used to get a jacket as well back in the day.
Yeah.
Which was funny because it was usually in the summertime. I can remember.
Yeah, this is the old Kerman track.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was this race, or maybe it was 2005 at Atwater. We did the qualifying at the end of the day on Saturday, and I was sick. Like I had a fever that day. I was not feeling good, and I couldn't make it on Sunday. So then one of the other club drivers, Eric Johnson, he was helping out at the track, and they weren't planning on racing. And my dad's like, all my stuff's here. Why don't you just drive the cart? Because we were about the same size. So he ended up racing the cart on Sunday.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
Actually, my family and I, so me and David and Michelle, we were actually talking about Eric Johnson today.
really.
So that's so funny. Eric Johnson, if you're listening, we still remember you. You're still cool. So yeah, I remember, I mean, at the time I didn't really know the difference because it was like, oh, we were just at the racetrack every weekend. But then once we started getting the flags, it was like, all right, this is cool. I'll collect these. So also, if you come and you win our Central Valley Championship, we get a flag. My friend Jackson looks like he has one. Maybe he'll tell us about the win that it came from. Go ahead and unmute.
Okay. First off, I do want to say for the people that don't know, it's very cool because not only you get a personalized graphic
Bring
flag.
Jackson up.
Oh, sorry. I'll wait.
No. Jason, bring Jackson up.
I didn't know he disappeared.
Not only you obviously get a checkered flag with the graphic of the year, you also get a nice trophy, as the one behind me right here says Central Valley Kart Racing Championship, Central Valley Championship. So you get actually 2 trophies, but you also get to take a very special lap after the race where you get to hold the race director's flag and you do a victory lap. It's very exciting. I've been fortunate enough to do it for the past couple of years. I believe I started racing CCKRA in 2013, and I don't know if you can see them up there, but I have a little bit of a collection going on. But we'll see. Hopefully it'll grow in a couple weeks.
Yes. I remember Jackson out there as a kid too, and kid karts and all that stuff. So it's pretty awesome. All right, Logan, tell us about your favorite CCKRA win.
It was probably the championship race at Santa Maria when I was in Junior 1 206.
What happened?
I don't really remember really any, but I won, and I got to take the victory lap.
Oh, okay. So that's the core memory, is the victory lap, right?
Yeah.
All right. So Bryson, same question. What's your favorite CCKRA win?
So mine would probably be Santa Maria and Kid Kart when I got the CCKRA flag for the race, or at Santa Maria.
Wow. All right. So you guys, the flags are a big deal. Come and join us, win a flag. They're big deal. And who do we have? Oh, comments. All right. So we got some Bryson McCormick fans here. All right, Jackson, you're going to have to share something, buddy, because the kids are bringing their friends. Logan. All right. So, Scott, when you guys are coming up with the designs for, well, I say designs, but track layout, what are things you have to consider for a parking lot track that's different than just showing up at, say, Buttonwillow and racing there? Oh, you're muted.
Obviously, I mean, the biggest thing, setup and teardown with, Buttonwillow, Santa Maria, Willow Springs. We just show up, we have whatever we need, our scales or timing, and we go. With a temporary track, it's always a little bit different. It depends on who put the barriers down, who put the cones down, what the surface is like, whether we need to adjust here or there a little bit. So even though it's, for the most part, been kind of the same overall configuration, the times are always a little bit different. So you never really know that first day what the fast time is going to be. It's usually not till maybe the end of the day, or maybe first practice, where everyone's kind of got everything sorted out and knows what the different changes have been. So yeah, and then making sure, obviously keeping everyone safe. With the barriers, they're pretty unforgiving, so want to make sure that people aren't knocking barriers into straightaways in the opposite way. Kind of configure the course so where it's safe if someone does end up having to go off, or if people are making passes and someone misses. Yeah, the potholes, as Elijah mentioned. Like I said, we've done a pretty good job filling all that stuff. We put down, a bunch last October, a bunch of concrete to fill it, and we put twice as much down in May. And I'm sure we'll have some extra little bits and pieces, but yeah, there's spots where the carts are jumping, maybe catching a little bit of air here and there, depending on which way we're going. So we got to be mindful of all those little things. We don't want people tearing stuff up. We don't want people crashing into stuff or blocking off other lanes. So it's interesting. This was my first year setting the track up, obviously with the help of Ron Perry and Brian Araki. And so we'll see how this one turns out.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. The experts, Ron Perry and Brian Araki. All right, so let's ask the drivers. Drivers, do you guys like running on the temporary track or a permanent track like Buttonwillow? Okay, all of them are muted. Jackson?
Okay, well, I tell you guys what, if I don't have any fans in the comments, at least I can talk more, right?
There you go. Let's do it.
So, I would definitely say running these temporary tracks give us, the tracks themselves definitely have some very special characteristics about them. And when there's someone like me or a driver that does Supernats and Rock the Rio, like I did last year, those tracks come in, a place like Fresno Fairgrounds come in very handy to practice, just because you have these very tight layouts and these barriers. If you make a mistake, they're facing right at you, and they can be very scary. And a thing we have seen in the past at certain series, like I can name Modesto, for example, a couple years ago in 2014, I think, was those tracks might not have been, sorry, my dog's barking a little bit. Those tracks might have not have been executed as well as they could have been, but the people at CCKRA, the tracks aren't always the same, but they always get them great every single time. And, as Scott said, with Ron Perry and Brian Araki and Scott himself, they make these tracks really great to race at. So.
All right. That's awesome. All right.
I found a video I can
go
bring up real
next?
quick. Just so people get an idea of CCKRA at Fresno. Let's see here.
I'm
Is
going to
that
bring
the
up
national
Logan.
video?
Go ahead, Logan.
I like both. Like, there's benefits in both of them, but I prefer the temporary tracks because they're different every time in little spots. So they're just more challenging, I feel like.
Yeah. All right. Bryson, what do you like better?
So it's kind of like a 50-50 because with the new tracks, it's kind of like what Logan said, how each time they're different. So sometimes it can have slower reaction time and it can have faster, but when you keep on running the same track, you're not gaining any reaction time, or you're not getting less reaction time.
That is very true also. Good analyzing there, buddy. All right, here we go. Oh, Jason found a video. Yay. All right, so this is the Fresno Fairgrounds. We have the temporary tracks. I say we, but CCKRA has they set up the temporary track, and there you go. So
This one's a little bit older video.
Yeah. But okay, guys, so in instances like this, in these starts, let's talk about like passing on a temporary track, or how. Oh, yes, I'm going to go to this question next. Okay, so we'll talk about this question and then we'll go back to the passing. Does rubber play a bigger role on temp versus permanent? Okay. Scott, do you want to answer?
I would at Fresno. I would say it's well, I guess every track's different, right? So like Santa Maria, it takes quite a bit to rubber up Santa Maria. Same thing at Willow, I think, but Button Willow can rubber up pretty well, especially when it gets hot. So I think it just kind of depends. Some of those tracks really rubber up easy, depending on the surface. Some of them don't rubber up so well. So yes and no. It's just again, it depends on the actual permanent track. Compared to some, it's definitely more of a bigger roll. Others, it's maybe about the same. But Fresno rubbers up pretty good.
Well, so that was my next question. So what does the Fresno heat help? Because I think you kind of mentioned earlier that it rubbers up in the afternoon, right? So I mean, you guys, it's over 100 here in Fresno. Okay. We literally stare into the sun and don't feel anything because it's hot here. Okay. So surface wise at the fairgrounds, does it get hotter than a track like Button Willow or Santa Maria, where Santa Maria is used to like a colder, cloudier climate, I feel like?
Yeah. To be honest, I'm not so sure about what the actual track temps get to be comparative wise. I'm not that particular with my data, but I'm sure someone like Bryson's dad, Jim, probably has data on that. But yeah, I'm not sure.
All right. Well,
Tire compound is huge.
Yeah.
So if you're running the Briggs and Stratton tires all weekend long, it's going to take a lot longer to get the rubber down. You get your Team Visalia shifter boys showing up.
Yeah,
they're going to change the track a little bit for you.
Absolutely.
All right. So we have finally a shout out for Jackson. There you go. Kirk Marshall shout out, Trackside Engines. Bryson, that's a cool Piston Cup trophy. Tell us about it.
So what that trophy was about, it was about when I was in Kart novice, and I was going against Scott's son Brandon, and so it was the flag race. I came second behind Miles Borchi, and so mostly we came to because I think he started like a few weeks or maybe a few races after me, so I kind of had a little bit of a lead on him. And Brandon was pretty good that year, but that was his last year, so I hope so. In Kid Kart, it was just Miles and me, and I was able to hold him off for the championship. So that's about that Piston Cup trophy.
All right, so it was earned. Hard work. All right, guys. What was I talking? Oh, passing on a temporary track. Let's discuss. Jackson, do you want to start?
Sure. Passing at a temporary track. At the end of the day, passing is always the same. You have to, no matter what, to me, how I see it is no matter what type of track, you always have to be committed, and you always have to do, you can always do daring passes. And I feel like at a track like Fresno, at the Fresno Fairgrounds, you have to be very committed to those passes, because if you make a mistake, you get offline. There's not much room to make up for a mistake like that. So you have to be a little aggressive, but the track, I find the layouts very great. There's a lot of great passing opportunities, and I feel like they've done such a great job over the years with these different layouts and all these different tracks. So
yeah, thanks. All right, Bryson, I saw you shaking your head over there. Let's talk about passing on a temporary track.
So kind of like Jackson said, if you go offline or if you make a mistake, you're doomed. It's because some corners can be very wide, and then some corners can just be super narrow, to where it's just really risky, and you're about this far away from the wall, and you're just like this far away. It's kind of like 2 weeks ago, I went up to Prairie City and we were doing it backwards. So going through the chicane, I had to make a few passes, and it was very close. And also, there were some people ahead of me, so we were just beating and banging on each other.
All right. Well, that was a great explanation, sir. I like the way you said doomed too.
Doomed. Done.
All right, Logan, let's talk about passing on a temporary track.
Oh, well, passing, I feel like it's just like a normal track. You kind of just gotta shove it in there, kind of deal. And some of them, if you get offline, it's slick on some corners, but most time, if you're not far enough up, you're not gonna be able to get by.
That's a good point too. All right, Scott, let's talk about passing on a temporary track.
It's been a while since I've ran on Fresno. Ever since my kids got into it, I stopped racing.
I actually was thought about it and was gonna ask, like, have you raced on the temporary track recently? But
yeah, not recently. I guess about when my youngest started driving, it was too much. My dad was driving, my kids were driving in 2 different classes. There was just no time for me. But yeah, it's definitely a little bit different. Obviously, you got to be a little more mindful of the barriers. If you do go side by side with someone and they don't give you enough room, or they clip down on you, you're not hitting a curb or getting a little dirt. Your day is done, because it doesn't take much force to clip a barrier and bust a tie rod or bend a tie rod. So you have to be a little more careful. But other than that, it's, by the end of the day, there's plenty of rubber on there. And usually, at least with us, we try and do a good job of blowing the marbles off into the corners, because they'll build up pretty good. So other than that, just watching the barriers, and yeah, the rest of it's just driving, just having fun.
Yeah.
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
So when all of you have done the temporary tracks as drivers,
mm-hmm.
what is the depth perception or the racing line visually? How is that different than like a Button Willow, where Button Willow has the curbs? There's no barricades setting the track. I mean, they have barricades so you don't go too far, out into Button Willow. But so what about the depth perception? How do you guys, when you tackle the temporary track, where do you find your reference points, and how do you approach that? Let's start with Bryson.
So one thing I gotta say is probably about the corners. What it feels like, because most of you can jump some curbs, and sometimes you can just get on them. So sometimes it feels like, where's the curb? And you're just thinking that, and because when you go to a full different track like Santa Maria where you can jump curbs, and then you come back to Fresno, it's like you kind of have that feel from the last race to jump the curb, but now you have to get used to not jumping the curb. But when you go all the way to another race, you got to get back to that feel of jumping a curb.
Logan, how about you? The depth perception and the visual difference, temp versus permanent track.
I feel like permanent track, like Bryson said, you can jump some curbs. The other curbs, you just get on them. But I feel like Fresno, we more just kind of have to get on the barriers. And I mean, normally you do feel a curb, but that track you don't, because there's no curbs. But you just kind of get as close to the barriers.
Jackson, how about you?
Well, I've done quite a few different not temporary tracks over the years. You can look at Lancaster. I remember specifically at a track like Lancaster, there was the zebra crossing going into one of the last corners, and my dad was sitting at that corner on the other side of the fence. For anyone who's been there, you'll understand. There's, it's obviously blocked off by fencing around the city. And my dad was sitting over there on the other side of the fencing. And he told me if I would brake at this specific spot, I would go much faster. And I used that as a reference point, and it helped me get full Lancaster. And I think was the last year they did it. And I used those types of skills and that mindset over to track like Fresno Fairgrounds and at CCKRA, where you just kind of look for these little cracks and little maybe like spray painted spots on the track and use that as reference points. And as far as the vision, I'm kind of blind. I need glasses, so it's a little hard to get it perfect every time, but I try my best. And my experience comes and helps me out.
Nice. You guys want to watch we have another question coming up, and Ashley, I found a video for it.
Okay.
Then I lost my screen. Let's see here. I'm going to try a different mode. Give me a second here. All right.
Great.
So somebody had a question on watch the Modesto Grand Prix last weekend. Looked like a lot of money put into it. Is that too difficult to pull off again? We'll let Scott address that one as a race promoter. So fire away. And then I may cut you off by accident because I'm going to try to bring up a video of Modesto.
Yeah, I don't know about doing it on city streets. I mean, obviously we've always done parking lot races, so working with the fairgrounds, it's mainly just date availability. I can't imagine the extra footwork you have to do with the businesses, because if you were at that race, they had it's kind of like downtown Modesto-ish, so there were rows of businesses that were just blocked off, and they had the overpass there in the middle, and then they put a bunch of curbs down, just like they do for the Supernats and things like that. So that there was a lot of work that went into that track, not only just building it and lining that whole thing with barriers, but getting the public approval, the city approval, because it was a pretty good sized track. It was definitely a big disruption to Modesto, and it was funny enough. My sister-in-law lived in Syracuse, just south of Modesto at the time. So we went with one of my nephews, and from their house, which was probably a good 10 minutes away, you could definitely hear the races. So I can't imagine what all the extra time and effort and money went into getting that to go off.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot more involved in our race.
And it was literally on the streets, literally on the streets. The streets were blocked off, and like things that I didn't think about, like going to this race is like, one, we're not really going to have anywhere to sit and watch. And two, like David was actually involved in a wreck there. And when he wrecked, he was like on the other side of the track. So me and Michelle were like rushing over, like running through streets of Modesto, trying to get to the other side. And we finally found him, and we got him taken care of and all that stuff. But it was just like, wow, like this is real. Like, and I thought about it, like when you're walking even to like where the stands were, is like you're literally walking street blocks right now. And it went on for a very, very long time. Very long time. It was a long night. So, all right, but let's talk about everyone's experience. Supernats, Rock Vegas, any kind of big races like that, where kind of Jackson hit on it earlier, where your temporary track experience has helped prepare you. Okay, so we'll let the others go first, and then I know Jackson's done some stuff. So we'll start with Bryson, and then we'll go to Logan.
So mostly probably the biggest race that I have done is not that big of a race, but we're planning going down to IKF for October. So mostly my biggest race right now has probably been NNKC Reno for KPX.
All right. Good to know. And how'd you do there?
I placed third. My cart started to fall off in the last through one of the corners. About going up the hill, it would start sliding in that. It would start sliding in the corner.
All right. And where was that KBX?
Reno,
Reno?
at
Reno.
NNKC.
All right. And how'd you like that track?
It's sometimes it feels really weird because it doesn't have any grip. So even if I said the cart was no grip and we put in max grip, it feels like it's over gripped and hopping, but it never shows signs of being over gripped.
All right. And you placed third.
Yep.
Who do you race with, Bryson?
So
Do you want to shout out your racing friends?
yeah, so I would probably say Zaquan Holbrook, Kason Hodge, Eric Doan, and probably Caden Williams.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Okay, Jackson, let's talk about how temporary track experience has helped you for bigger races. You kind of touched on it a little bit earlier.
Yeah, as I was saying, last year, Supernats 24, I competed in, and I think overall I got like 45th out of, I think there was over 100 drivers in KA Senior, and that was definitely the biggest race I've ever done, and definitely doing like the 10 years of experience I have at Fresno, that definitely helped pay off a lot, and not, other drivers that I was talking with that live out on the East Coast, they don't typically run that many races like that, temporary tracks out there. So in a way, I definitely had an advantage going out to CCKRA and at the Fresno Fairgrounds and getting the focus, getting used to being so close to the barriers, because at a track like Supernats, which I will be going to again this year, you have to be so close to the barriers and you have to be so consistent and precise on every lap and every pass. And you're out there to make no mistakes and do the best you can, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Jackson.
Yep.
All right, Logan.
The last Supernats I've done was Supernats 23, and I was in Micro Swift, and I think I got 7th in that race out of over, I think there was 43 drivers, and I think Fresno prepared me for it, I feel like, but Nevada at that time was a lot colder, so the track acted differently. And we were racing at nighttime and stuff. So it just acted a lot different than Fresno. And the Las Vegas track, they put in curbs and stuff. So it was a lot different, but I feel like Fresno helped me a lot because of the concrete and asphalt and stuff they had in there.
You're muted. Ashley, you're muted.
All right, and we have some pictures of some previous Central Valley Championship winners taking
So the
their
first one was Jackson. This one's Logan.
Yeah.
And then I missed Bryson. So give me a second. I'll bring Bryson up.
All right. So again, Central Valley Championships. You guys get this flag, super cool flag. I have one technically. Jackson has one. Logan, right? Well, yeah, because those are the pictures, right? So everyone has one except Jason. And yeah, so we're gonna CCKRA has the Central Valley Championships coming up September, I remember it, 3rd and 4th at the Fresno Fairgrounds. come. We'll be out. Well, I'll be there. And it's gonna be a great time. It'll probably be hot, but what are you gonna do? We can't control the weather.
You're not supposed
So-
to tell people it's gonna be hot. You just say, "Hey, the weather's gonna be nice."
It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice. Very
It's gonna
nice.
be
Very
nice.
nice. So, but yeah, come if you want to test for Vegas. This is where you need to be. You got to get in that barrier track mindset. You and just try it out. We got a race going on September 3rd and 4th, Fresno Fairgrounds. All right. So, did we Jason, did we answer your question? Because you have a question. You had a question.
Oh yeah, a long time ago.
Oh,
But
okay.
you know, we never did answer Gear Nuts.
Oh,
So his actual question was: watch the Modesto Grand Prix last weekend. Looked like a lot of money put into it. Is that too difficult to pull off again?
okay.
So
I
know
can answer.
Scott, Scott addressed it. I've talked to a few race promoters about trying to do another temporary race, and they've just said whatever you think a race costs for
Yeah.
standard track, at least double it, and then you need the help from whatever locality or city that you're working with.
Yeah.
So
So,
it's
hold
a
on.
monumental task. It's what SCUSA did. It's very unfortunate it wasn't an ongoing thing like they had at Lancaster, because Lancaster was very successful for many years, and that would have been, honestly, I think it could have kicked off almost another spin-off series of street racing if that would have pulled off, because that would have been a really good anchor street race.
So, the thing is, so I mean, I have experience in like that organization type too. There's a lot of factors that go into having a race. Is that too difficult to pull off again? In city streets, yes. Okay. Like if you find a location to have a temporary track that you can set up and you can kind of function at, it's not impossible, but it's expensive. Okay. You're gonna need insurance, you're gonna need an ambulance, you're going to need corner workers. You're going to need scoring. You're going to need power for scoring. You're going to need, like, there's so many factors to not having a permanent track. But if you're talking about like in the streets, I don't think that city, like, if you're dealing with the city, I don't really foresee it being an easy task. So I don't know if that kind of answers that, but a temporary track at a location can be pulled off, but a city on the streets probably cannot. Oh yes, so another thing with Modesto is, so with David's crash, kind of two things in that we went to the hospital and in Modesto, and we were told that like we were basically felt like we, as in like the race, were filling up their hospital like that night. Okay. The reason that it went so long is because there was just red flag after red flag after red flag. I don't really know the logistics of anything else that happened, but I can speak because I was actually physically at the hospital that night. There were a lot of racers, a lot of helmets being checked, stuff like that. So that's kind of why I have heard Modesto wasn't interested again. Again, the businesses weren't happy, but it was a great race. Like, I don't want to I don't want to knock it. I don't want to say that it was bad, because it was a good race. It was very it was done very well for the caliber of racing that it was put on by. So yeah, and then Jackson said he hurt his back when he was battling for the win. You're literally you know, when you're driving in a car, picture like hitting a pothole, okay? Then get yourself in a go-kart and you hit that same pothole. It's like a whole different world. Rock your world type thing. All right. Pismo Beach Kart GP. Anyone remember?
Only us old guys, Tommy.
Yeah, I was
Only
gonna
us old
say, I
guys.
looked at the name next. I was like, oh, tell me about it, Tommy, one day.
I made the front cover of the local newspaper at the Pismo Grand Prix.
Wow.
When was that? When was that? When did the race happen?
Oh, Tommy could probably help fill in the blanks, but it had to be somewhere right around
90s.
99, 2000. Yeah, 99 or 2000. And they did it for a few years. And I don't remember if it was at an old airport or not. But yeah, the one I participated in, it was a big old open tarmac. It was fun. It was so much fun. There were tyrannosaurs there. Yes, they were roaming around. Yeah, I never did the city streets one, Tommy. I did the one when they moved it out to the I think the old airport. But yeah, that was so much fun. That was a fun race.
All right, so we're going to start wrapping up with final thoughts and shout outs. We'll probably start with the drivers first and then end with Scott, who will start. We can go Bryson, Jackson, Logan, then Scott. Okay. All right, so now we're going to final thoughts, anything else you want to leave us with, shout outs, where are you going to race next?
So kind of like what I said before, IKF, we're still thinking about it. We're not 100% sure. I'm still thinking about it as a driver, but mostly the shout outs is kind of what I said in the beginning. Also, Scott for doing the tracks amazing, and Ron also. So also my mom and dad, BG, Trackside Engines, probably Nevada Kart Sport, because they helped me a ton at NKC, especially Zach. Zach Rivera, we put on the black slide, and he went out there. He was practicing with me. He told me when I went ahead of him, everything, how I need to change up my line, my braking, everything. So now I'm actually kind of good at that track.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell you, I did talk to Zach Rivera personally to try to get him on the senior show next week. So tune in next week and give him a shout out. All right.
Okay.
All right, Bryson. Have a good night, buddy. Thanks for joining us. All right, Jackson. Final thoughts, shout outs. Where are you going to race next?
So to start, I think my next race will be SCUSA at Santa Maria. I think we have a good shot to win that race. We have a good package. I actually have won at Santa Maria before a big race. It's right there. That's what you call a Duffy. It's a pretty prestigious race, and as Bryson was saying, that's his next race at IKF Grand Nationals. But yeah, leading edge, Greg Bell, Jesus Appeal and Engines. Those guys give me a great piece to work with, and hopefully I can get it done there. I will say, if Ashley is going to the club race in Fresno with all that heat, I say Jason also needs to go, and we need to start a petition. But
would you like to buy a shirt to support the gas bill?
Well, I tell you what, if you come out there, I will buy every shirt in every size.
What?
Perfect.
I don't know. We'll see about that.
You don't know how
I
many
can't get any
shirts.
promises.
You're like, wait, how many shirts does this guy
Jackson's
have?
looking for a shirt sponsor. If anybody needs help, if anybody wants one. We do have a comment. Congrats on the Duffy. What year was your Duffy?
Oh, sorry, my dog's barking. It was in 2017. I think that was sorry, my dog's barking. It was one of the last races they did it at Santa Maria. But to wrap it all off for me, I just want to thank you guys again for bringing me on the show. I've been watching the show for a while, and I've known Jason, I've known Ashley for a while. I think I met you guys when I was pretty little, and as my dad's been whispering in my ear throughout this entire hour, the CCKRA, anyone that's wanting to practice, getting close to barriers, getting used to being focused 24/7 with all the adrenaline, and I tell you what, that's probably the best place to practice for a temporary track right now. So appreciate everything, and I'll see you guys later.
All right. Thanks, Jackson. Good luck at Supernats, buddy. All right, Logan. Final thoughts, shout outs. Where are you going to race next?
I think my next race is the CCKRA race at Fresno. And yeah. And I just want to thank Glenn Araki and Christina at PKS, Motor City GMC, Cali Strong Clothing Company, and Central Valley Pipeline Excavation and Agna.
All
When's
right.
your next legend race?
It's going to be in Irwindale on the 10th, I think.
Cool.
All
Good luck
right.
down there.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank
Good
you.
luck. We'll see you
Thank you.
later.
Bye.
All right, Scott, we are going to end with you. Any final thoughts? Last minute information that you want to put out? Anything like that?
Yeah, just thank all the drivers this year that came out to the 2022 series. Like I said, we've had some pretty big numbers. Started off in the 60s and we were up into the 90s the last race. So that's always good to see the kart counts go back up. Thanks to thanks to you guys for bringing us back on and promoting the sport. Thanks to Jackson, Logan, and Bryson for coming on and helping us plug. But it's been a fun year. I think we're gonna end it with another good race. So if anyone wants to come out and play with us, I encourage you to come out. It's a bigger club, a bigger event, but we still try and keep it lighthearted and fun. It's in the end we're just racing for trophies right now. So I like seeing everyone leave with a smile and all of their stuff intact rather than go out in there and beating each other up. So it's a good time.
All right. Thanks, Scott. And
guys.
I will see you September 3rd and 4th
All right.
at the Fresno Fairgrounds. Have a good night.
Night.
All right. So, Jason, do we have any final thoughts, shout outs, anything we need to?
If we all sell one NorCal karting shirt, I can pay off my credit card bill. No, in all seriousness.
Stay tuned because you're going to find out why we ordered white shirts coming up. And we have the Heather Gray, we have the NorCal Army shirt. And then I believe there is some dark grays too.
Oh, there are dark
long
Gorilla
sleeves.
Barbecue. Yeah, there is dark gray.
Okay, I'm going to lose you, Jason, if you walk away. There you go. All right, Heather Gray. There you go. All right, so we have T-shirts. Jason will sign it for you. I want to give a huge shout out again. Also, Jackson's chiming in too, but I want to give a huge shout out to Glenn and Christina Araki and Brian Araki and the whole Araki family, and the Perry family. And like all these old CCKRA like rooting members for keeping this track and this club that I love so much alive. So Glenn and Christina and the whole CCKRA team. So we will be out there September 3rd and 4th. Well, I will be out there September 3rd and 4th. Maybe, hopefully, I'll have more NorCal Army shirts. Hopefully. All right. If you want to come on my show to talk about karting, fill out the Google form. Let's do it. Peace, NorCal.